I've been doing this shit back to back to back. I just recorded 2 episodes on Lilith Wants to Buy Your Soul. And that game made me feel something, but now we're gonna try out Locked. Another point-and-click adventure, as far as I know. This game pulls on my webcam. I'm quitting YouTube. For a man may prefer what he can do to what he cannot do. Okay, full screen. The state he is in to his absence or change, though necessity has made it in itself unalterable. John Locke. I know that guy. I wake up. Ooh. Turn on the volume so y'all can hear it. I wake up. Had a good night's rest in terms of my quality of sleep. I have nothing to complain about. I didn't have a nightmare, nor any other kind of dream for that matter. And I haven't been this comfortable in a long time, and yet the sight before me is something quite unusual to wake up to. Shoes. How often are feet the first thing you see upon waking up? I would wager this is quite a rare event. I can't even come up with a scenario where this was likely to occur. Except, of course, my own. Clearly, I'm looking at a pair of shoes right now, so the probability must be non-zero. It suddenly occurs to me that feet are connected to people. Oh, gute Nacht. Oh, thank goodness you have come to. Oh, you blink. Hello, host. I have to admit, I was beginning to miss you. Do I know you? The person I've talked to previously was much less pleasant. My cheeks flush upon hearing the open declaration of affection from such a beautiful stranger. Wait, stranger? She isn't a stranger at all. That's right. I've been longing to speak to her. How do you feel? Very good. I'm glad to find myself in so desirable company. The feeling is mutual. There is nothing I want more than to talk to you right now. Feel free to discuss anything in this room that catches your interest. I will gladly do so. There's a door here. Moon's quite beautiful today. How fascinating. Not many people would say that about new moon. The full moon seems to be preferred by almost everyone. That may be so, but I believe a new moon has its own appeal. I was not disagreeing with you. To me, a new moon is the moon's most beautiful form. It is her most beautiful form because it is their true form. She appears silver to us when illuminated by the sun, but in complete darkness she is freed from the sun's pesky influence. She can finally stand on her own. Do you believe the moon feels trapped? My question causes her to laugh. It's a beautiful, melodious laugh. The moon isn't but a celestial object. She cannot feel anything. But if I were to trade places with her, I would hate the sun with every fiber of my being. That I am certain of. Moon, to me. Okay, cool. What's an old computer doing here? Old? Do you characterize it due to its such size? I can't read. It is true that as technology advances, it becomes better at creating more efficient, smaller parts. On the other hand, if a modern computer is very large, we assume it's proportionally powerful. This computer size has no correlation to its age nor its computational power. Yeah, it's built that way for a much more simple, if not primitive, reason. is supposed to fit a human inside. What? Is someone being kept in there against their will? Of course not. There's no need to worry. It's merely an exhibition object. In fact, everything around us is but a buffet to provide us with topics to discuss. This computer in particular might be the most interesting. Are you familiar with the Chinese room argument? I don't think so. Would you care to explain it? Gladly. It is a thought experiment, so please open your mind to a hypothetical scenario. Okay. Suppose you do not know any Chinese and you're put into a room. In that room, you find rulebooks that tell you precisely how to convert a given combination of Hanzi into a new string of characters. Occasionally, you will receive letters through a mail slot from outside the room. You write down the letters according to the rulebooks and send them back out. Since you have followed the rules diligently, your answers are perfectly intelligible, and the people outside assume you're a fluent Chinese speaker. But are you? Evidently not. From looking at characters alone, I have no means of learning to understand them. No matter how long I pursue this task, I will never become more capable of speaking Chinese. Indeed, the human in the room cannot speak Chinese. There's no question about it. And since the programming of computers is analogous to the rulebooks you use, it is supposed to show the same thing about them. That computers, no matter how well they can simulate understanding, they do not have any. There is one aspect about this thought experiment that has seemingly been overlooked. Namely, the person inside might still be capable of speaking some language. Clearly, you're brought into the room with an understanding of English, but you're never prompted or given the opportunity to use it. Judging you based on your Chinese abilities is quite unfair. Being stuck inside the Chinese room would be pitiful and terrifying. So what if a computer also has its own native language? Oops. What if it had feelings and needs with no means of communicating them to the outside world? Even though this Chinese room argument is a mere thought experiment, it poses a very worrisome fact about artificial intelligence. That is, if a computer somehow comes to obtain emotion, it would be in existence of utter despair. While interesting, I do not think this is a real concern. It is highly unlikely that we somehow already discovered how to artificially create emotion. I admit that it is unlikely. It would be no exaggeration to call it a miracle even. Yet we both have no way of knowing whether that miracle has already occurred. Said unlucky computer would suffer in silence, no one ever considering that it might be in pain. Our language barrier is too strong. Tell me, would you put such a computer out of its misery? Initially, I'm inclined to say yes, but I can only notice its pain once it is communicated. By the time I realize it is suffering, the language barrier would no longer exist. So at that point, the computer would no longer have to be alone. Then you would instead spend the rest of your life in its company. Perhaps that would be my moral obligation, yes. I see. You wish to talk about me? I'm flattered. What in particular would you like to know? Would be content with any bit of information you share with me. The one thing I'm particularly curious about is why I go before I dare to utter my next words. Your necklace. Where? I cannot bring myself to complete the sentence out of fear of offending. Oh, that's a chain. As a response, her slender fingers wander up to trace the metal ring about her neck. My necklace? Are you referring to this? I nod. Content with my confirmation, her hands slide down the chain attached to the ring. She gently tugs at it, causing it to clink. And do you wish to know where this leads? Her hands move on the first button of her coat, foreshadowing what would happen if I were to say yes. But I'm once too mesmerized to utter a single word. Once again, all I do is nod. She chuckles. Very well, I always value honesty. And just like that, she puts the uppermost button between her fingers and pushes it through the opening. Once slipped through, slightly more of her upper body is revealed. Of course, she is still fully clothed underneath. Good. Somebody help. Nothing about this is inappropriate, and yet I feel like I'm witnessing something I shouldn't. Something not meant for my eyes. Something I can never turn back from. Wearing a knowing smile, she repeats the same motion with the remaining buttons of her coat. She's satisfied by my request, but I should have been contented, but the question of where her chain leads has grown even more puzzling. I suppose it is time we arrive at the heart of the matter. Would you call yourself free? Please take a moment to consider this and justify your answer. Excuse me? I did not expect her to answer my confusion with a question of her own, let alone a question as peculiar as that. Nonetheless, I do as she says and choose my next words carefully. May I slap your titties? Of course I am free. I need help. I can lift my arm and clench my hand into a fist. I can control my thoughts and imagine any scene I want in my head. First of all, there is nothing I desire more than talking to you, which is what I'm currently doing. Nothing is preventing me from what I want to do. Therefore, both physically and mentally, I am free. Interesting. So to you, freedom belongs to volition. Being free is equivalent to being free to do as you please. Unfortunately, I do not agree with that conception. Even as a prisoner, unless restrained from head to toe, he can clench his fist if he wills it. And so long he is not under the influence of drugs or illness, he can certainly control his imagination. Yet by definition, prisoners are not free. Lastly, when it comes to wish fulfillment, what if what you want to do simply aligns with what you're able to do? A bird that cannot fly might not wish to leave its cage. It's fully content sitting on a decorative branch and pecking at delicious seeds every day. It longs for nothing, but it is never given the opportunity to long for more. Would you say such a bird is free? I suppose not. The bird's circumstances seem to me quite sad, actually. I think so too. The fact that it doesn't belong for the outside might just be a shackle of its own. The bird is confined both in body and mind. Despite the fact that it will do as it pleases, freedom will never be in its grasp. I take a moment to ponder her analogy. In that case, I have to argue that my exclamation for freedom was faulty. I apologize. Let me offer a new one. There is no need. She lets out a laugh, but this one lacks the charm of its predecessors. After all, I pity you almost as much as myself. She once again moves her fingers to her chain and grips it with both her hands. You're curious about this, yes? Correct. She yanks the chain with brutish strength, completely unlike the first time. So hard that even my own neck is pulled forward. My own neck? Suddenly a realization dawns upon me. Our chins are connected? That is correct. I'm surprised the pleasure hasn't bothered you. The pressure hasn't bothered you until now. Somebody help. To be honest, I still cannot feel it. I only know that it is there. That sounds much more comfortable than my own. I am painfully aware of it at all times. I would not describe my own circumstances as comfortable. Why am I connected to you? Was this your doing? No. I wish I had any account of control over this place, but unfortunately, I do not. If you discovered a way to break free, I would love to know about it. The lock. Now what? There is a door here. For the first time since waking up, I no longer feel at ease sitting in this chair. Her presence is no longer enough to keep me calm. In fact, her smile, which appeared to me so charming before, which now seems unsettling. I stand up, the only sound in the room being the rustling of our chain. It was a pleasure talking to you, but I will be taking my leave. Fortunately, the chain is quite long. If necessary, the two of us can stand on opposite ends of the room. I make it to the door without requiring her to move it in any way. As my hand hovers over the door handle, I can faintly hear her laugh again. Now is no time to doubt myself. I enjoyed this stay while it lasted, but it's time to return home. However, opening the door only reveals the solid wall behind it. There is never an exit to begin with. It is beyond your power to escape this place. Evidently, she is telling me the truth. Then I assume the window. A fabrication, just like the door. I thought so. Finally aware of my own powerlessness, I sit back on my own armchair. I do wonder if you can be likened to a bird in a cage. Are you a parakeet or an angel? Or an eagle? Am I your companion or Prometheus? Are we a pair of parakeets content in our own company for the rest of our lives? Or will you tear out my liver every day, torturing me for eternity? Is that an accusation? Have I done anything to hurt you? Do you despise me? I do not. The eagle, just like Prometheus, was stuck in an endless cycle. Of course, it was provided delicious liver every morning, but was never allowed to do anything else. It was a prisoner just the same. Therefore, Prometheus had no right to hate the eagle. The real villain, who doomed both of them to that fate, was Zeus. For that reason, I harbor no ill will against you either. Quite the opposite. I find pleasure in our joint suffering. The only person I hate is our Zeus. Our Zeus? Some kind of god? That person is the reason we are here. Yeah, I can English. They are watching over us from a space we cannot perceive, far beyond our grasp. For what purpose? Enjoyment, I presume. What kind of person would watch something like this for fun? I can only imagine that they are a twisted individual, for as long as we are observed, we continue to exist. Does that mean we stop existing if they stop observing us? Most certainly. Can you recall anything about your life before coming here? No. In a way, I feel as though I am a newborn. No, not in terms of body or intellect, but rather when speaking about my memories. I have none. Interesting. It is hard for me to decide which of our fates is worse. How so? Are you different? I process memories of meeting you over 1,000 times. Every single one of our conversations progressed more or less the same way. Perhaps it is because different gods were watching us. They might have different preferences, but the outcome is always the same. Now that I think about it, it is possible that you weren't always you. It could be that I'm meeting new people that are identical in every way, yet not the same. But of course, I've already had this realization many times before, and I'm destined to continue having it. There's nothing I can do but play along. Are you sure? Is there no way for us to break free? There is none. We exist for this very purpose. Only our opinions are to continue being observed. Only our options are to continue being observed, or to stop existing and neither of those are under our control. However, lacking control is not the same as lacking power. Even if I can never break free, I wish to cause our God even a fraction of our pain. How could you hope to hurt a God, an all-powerful being, by showing them an even greater power, whose mere existence will make them feel as powerless as us? Just like you are slightly different every time, so is the God watching us. This trick might not work on all of them, but it might work on some. She takes a deep breath and looks at me, full of conviction. No, not at me. She's looking in my direction, but something much further away. Zeus, the fact that I am still talking means that you're still watching. I hope you will pay attention to my words and consider them carefully. I do not possess any privacy, so you already know what I plan to achieve. But surely your pride will allow me to proceed. If my partner and I are birds in a cage and you are a cat, it is time your curiosity to kill you. You most likely assumed that you are here, that you are observing us out of your own free will. But your free will may very well be an illusion. Let me ask you, how did you find this room? You, of course, cannot answer me. It is enough for me to guide your thoughts. Did you stumble upon this room by chance, or was it recommended to you by a friend? Said friend being a god that previously observed us? Now consider, at what point do you have any chance to object? The room's appearance or description was interesting enough for you, or your friend is convincing and knows your tastes. Something outside of your control drew you to this place, but something means you didn't really have any choice but to come here. Either an algorithm or a friend decided at our meeting. Your consent was already set in stone the moment your curiosity was piqued. Are you talking to me? Apparently, you're still curious even now. The fact you're still listening to me shows that you are powerless against fate. You cannot control your own curiosity. It controls you. Of course, you might already be familiar with determinism, and this could be no revelation to you. So just in case, let me try hurting you in a different way. I hate you from the bottom of my heart. For a man may prefer what he can do to what he cannot do. The say he is in to his essence or change. The necessity has made itself unalterable. John Locke. What? Am I locked? About? Are we okay? Hold on. Did I get all the achievements? I've 100% completed the game. I beat the game. I guess this is the end, right?